Evelyn Harper shuffled along the crowded sidewalks of Chicago's Loop, her worn-out shoes scuffing against the pavement. She was 82, her face etched with lines that told stories no one bothered to read. Her coat, once a fine wool piece, now hung threadbare, its buttons mismatched. People passed her without a glance, their eyes fixed on phones or distant destinations. To them, she was just another face in the urban blur, someone to step around, not someone to notice. Evelyn's steps were slow, her mind foggy. She'd been wandering for hours, unsure of where she was or how she'd gotten there. Her memory had been slipping for years, a cruel trick of age, but today it felt worse. She clutched a small, tattered purse, her fingers trembling as she tried to recall what she was looking for. A name? A place? It was all a haze. Malik Johnson, a 17-year-old junior at Southside High, was cutting through the Loop after school. He was tall, lanky, with a backpack slung over one shoulder. His earbuds blasted hip-hop, but his eyes were sharp, always scanning. Growing up in Englewood, he'd learned to notice things others missed, small details, like the way someone's posture shifted when they were scared or lost. That's why Evelyn caught his attention. She wasn't just standing still. She was swaying slightly, her hands fumbling with her purse like she was trying to anchor herself to something familiar. Malik slowed his pace. He noticed the way people veered around her, their faces blank or annoyed. A businessman in a suit nearly bumped into her, muttering under his breath as he sidestepped. A group of tourists, laughing and snapping photos, didn't even see her. Malik pulled out one earbud. Something about her tugged at him. Not pity, but a sense that she didn't belong in this chaos. Not like this. He approached her cautiously. "Ma'am, you okay?" he asked, his voice low but clear. Evelyn's eyes, cloudy with age, met his. For a moment, she didn't respond, her lips parting as if searching for words. I don't know where I am," she said finally, her voice frail but laced with a refined cadence that surprised Malik. "You're on State Street," he said, glancing around. "You got somewhere you're trying to go?" She shook her head, her hands tightening around her purse. "I can't remember. I was supposed to meet someone, I think. But I don't know." Malik frowned. He'd seen lost people before, tourists mostly, but this felt different. She wasn't just lost in the city. She seemed lost in herself. He looked at his phone. He was supposed to meet his friends at the arcade in 20 minutes, but something told him he couldn't just walk away. "All right," he said, adjusting his backpack. "How about I help you figure it out? You got a name or a number in that purse? Someone we can call?" Evelyn blinked at him, as if his kindness was a foreign language. "You're helping me?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Yeah," Malik said, offering a small smile. "Come on, let's sit over there." He pointed to a nearby bench, but he didn't touch her, not yet. He didn't want to startle her. She nodded slowly and followed him, her steps unsteady. They sat, and she opened her purse, pulling out a crumpled piece of paper with a phone number scrawled on it. This might be it," she said. Malik took the paper and dialed the number. It rang 3 times before a woman's voice answered, sharp and professional. "This is Margaret Voss. Who's calling?" "Hey, my name's Malik. I'm with an older lady on State Street. She seems kinda lost, and I found your number in her purse." There was a pause, then urgency flooded Margaret's voice. "Is she all right? Can you describe her?" Malik glanced at Evelyn, who was staring blankly at the passing crowd. "She's maybe 80, white hair, wearing a beat-up coat. Says she can't remember where she's supposed to be." "Oh, thank God," Margaret said. "That's Evelyn Harper. Stay with her, please. I'm sending someone to get her right now. Can you tell me exactly where you are?" Malik gave their location, and Margaret thanked him profusely before hanging up. He turned to Evelyn. "Someone's coming for you, Miss Harper. You're gonna be okay." Evelyn looked at him, her eyes clearing slightly. "You're very kind," she said softly. "Most people, they don't stop." Malik shrugged, a little embarrassed. "Ain't nothing. Just doing what's right." They sat in silence for a few minutes, Malik keeping an eye on her while she fidgeted with her purse. He noticed a glint of something inside, A gold watch, far too expensive looking for someone in such worn clothes. It puzzled him, but he didn't ask. People had their reasons for looking the way they did. Soon, a sleek black SUV pulled up to the curb. A man in a tailored suit stepped out, his face tense but relieved when he saw Evelyn. "Miss Harper," he said, approaching quickly. "We've been looking everywhere for you." Evelyn looked up, recognition flickering in her eyes. "Charles?" she said uncertainly. "Yes, ma'am," he said, his tone gentle but firm. He turned to Malik. "Thank you for staying with her. You have no idea how important this is." Malik stood, brushing off his jeans. "No problem, man. Just glad she's okay." Charles handed him a business card. "If you ever need anything, call me. My name's Charles Reed. I work for Ms. Harper." Malik took the card, glancing at it. It was simple, just a name and number, no company logo. He nodded and stepped back as Charles helped Evelyn into the SUV. She turned to Malik before getting in. "Thank you, young man," she said, her voice stronger now. "I won't forget this." Malik watched the SUV pull away, feeling a strange mix of relief and curiosity. He tucked the card into his pocket and headed to the arcade, figuring that was the end of it. But it wasn't. 2 days later, Malik's phone rang. It was Margaret Voss, the woman from the call. "Mr. Johnson," she said, her tone formal but warm. "Miss Harper would like to meet you. Can you come to her office downtown tomorrow?" Malik hesitated. "Her office? She okay now?" "She's much better, thanks to you," Margaret said. "She wants to thank you in person. Can you make it?" Malik agreed, though he wasn't sure what to expect. The next day, he found himself in a glass-walled skyscraper, riding an elevator to the top floor. The office was sleek, all polished wood and modern art, nothing like the tattered figure he'd met on the street. Margaret, a middle-aged woman with sharp eyes and a crisp blazer, greeted him and led him to a conference room. Evelyn was there, but she looked different. Her hair was neatly styled, her clothes elegant, a tailored dress that screamed money. She stood when Malik entered, her smile warm but composed. "Malik," she said, extending a hand. "I'm Evelyn Harper. I owe you a great deal." Malik shook her hand, feeling out of place in his hoodie and sneakers. "Just glad you're okay, Miss Harper." "Sit, please," she said, gesturing to a chair. "I want to know about you. Why did you stop to help me when no one else did?" Malik shrugged, uncomfortable with the spotlight. "I don't know. You looked like you needed help. My mom always says you don't walk past someone who's struggling if you can do something about it." Evelyn's eyes softened. "Your mother sounds like a wise woman. Tell me about her." Malik hesitated, then opened up. He told her about his mom, a nurse who worked double shifts to keep them afloat. About his little sister, who wanted to be an astronaut. About growing up in Englewood, where you had to be tough but smart, too. Evelyn listened intently, asking questions that showed she wasn't just being polite. She genuinely cared. Then she told him about herself, though not in the way he expected. She didn't mention money or power. She talked about her childhood in a small Illinois town, about losing her parents young, about building a life from nothing. She spoke vaguely about her work, saying only that she managed investments and had been lucky enough to do well. Malik didn't push for details. He sensed she wasn't ready to share them. Before he left, Evelyn handed him an envelope. "A small thank you," she said. Inside was a check for $5,000. Malik's eyes widened. "I can't take this," he said, trying to hand it back. "You can and you will," Evelyn said firmly. "Use it for something good. For yourself, your family, your future." Malik left the office in a daze, the check burning a hole in his pocket. He didn't tell anyone about it, not even his mom. He wasn't sure why, maybe because it felt too big, too unreal. He deposited it quietly, planning to use it for his sister's science camp and maybe some new books for himself. Weeks passed, and Malik thought that was the end of it. But Evelyn hadn't forgotten him. One day, Margaret called again, inviting him to a charity gala. "Miss Harper insists you come as her guest," she said. Malik was reluctant. He didn't own a suit, and galas weren't his thing, but his mom convinced him to go. You helped that woman, she said. Show her you're proud of who you are. The gala was overwhelming, a sea of tuxedos and glittering dresses. Malik felt like an imposter in his rented suit, but Evelyn greeted him like an old friend. She introduced him to people as the young man who saved me, and Malik noticed how their eyes lingered on him, curious but guarded. He overheard whispers about Evelyn. Her name carried weight, though no one said exactly why. During the evening, Evelyn pulled him aside. Malik, she said, her voice low, I've been watching you. You're smart, kind, and you see people. That's rare. I want to offer you something. Malik braced himself, unsure what was coming. What's that? I run a foundation, she said. We fund education, community projects, things that matter. I'd like you to work with us, not as an employee, but as a partner. You'd help decide where the money goes, especially in neighborhoods like yours. And I'd cover your college tuition, wherever you want to go. Malik's breath caught. Why me? You don't even know me. I know enough, Evelyn said. You saw me when no one else did. That tells me who you are. Malik didn't know what to say. He mumbled a thank you and promised to think about it. The truth was, he was overwhelmed. College had always been a dream, but money was tight. His mom worked too hard, and scholarships weren't guaranteed. This felt like a door opening to a world he hadn't dared imagine. Over the next few months, Malik met with Evelyn regularly. She introduced him to her team, people who managed millions, maybe billions, in assets. He learned that Evelyn Harper wasn't just wealthy, she was one of the richest women in the country, a quiet billionaire who'd built her fortune in real estate and tech investments. She kept a low profile, rarely appearing in the news, but her influence was everywhere. Hospitals, schools, entire neighborhoods rebuilt with her money. Malik started working with her foundation, attending meetings where he suggested projects for Englewood, after-school programs, job training, a community center. Evelyn listened to him like his ideas mattered, and soon, some of those ideas became reality. The first time he saw kids playing basketball in a new gym funded by the foundation, he felt something he couldn't name, pride, maybe, or purpose. But not everyone was happy about Malik's new role. Some of Evelyn's advisors whispered that he was too young, too inexperienced. One, a man named Richard, was blunt. With all due respect, Miss Harper, why him? He's a kid from the South Side, not exactly boardroom material. Evelyn's response was sharp. He's exactly what we need. He knows what these communities need, because he lives it. You'd do well to listen to him, Richard. Malik heard about the exchange later and felt a mix of gratitude and pressure. He didn't want to let Evelyn down. He started studying harder, reading about nonprofits and urban development. He enrolled in community college part-time, balancing it with his work at the foundation. Evelyn paid for his tuition, just as she'd promised, and sent him books on leadership and finance. One day, over coffee, Evelyn shared more about her past. I was like you once, she said. No one thought I'd amount to anything. I was a secretary, barely scraping by. But someone gave me a chance, a loan to buy my first property. That's all it took. I want to be that chance for you. Malik nodded, but he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to her story. He'd seen articles online, old ones that hinted at her wealth, but never explained it fully. There were rumors. Some said she'd inherited money, others that she'd outsmarted Wall Street. When he asked her directly, she smiled. Let's just say I've been lucky and ruthless when I needed to be. As their partnership grew, so did Malik's confidence. He spoke up more in meetings, challenged ideas, and proposed bigger projects. He brought his mom to one of the foundation's events, and she cried when she saw him shake hands with city officials. You're doing something big, Malik, she said. Don't ever forget where you came from. Evelyn's health began to decline that winter. She missed meetings, and Margaret took on more responsibility. Malik worried, but Evelyn waved it off. I'm old, Malik, she said with a laugh. It happens, but I'm not done yet. One evening, she called him to her apartment, a penthouse that took his breath away, though she rarely used it. She was in a wheelchair now, her hands still clutching that same tattered purse. I've changed my will, she said without preamble. When I'm gone, you'll get a share of my estate. Not all of it. There are others I'm providing for, but enough to make a difference. Malik shook his head. Miss Harper, I don't want your money. You've already done enough. It's not about what you want, she said. It's about what you can do. You'll use it well, I know you will. Malik didn't know how to respond. The weight of her trust was heavy, but he felt ready to carry it. When Evelyn passed away a few months later, the news hit Chicago like a quiet earthquake. Her obituary called her a reclusive philanthropist, but Malik knew the truth. She was a woman who'd seen the world's indifference and chosen to fight it, one act of kindness at a time. The inheritance was staggering, millions, more than he could process. But Malik didn't change. He stayed in Englewood, worked with the foundation, and funded projects that honored Evelyn's legacy. He never forgot the day he took her hand, when she was just a lost old woman to everyone else. That moment had changed his life, and through him, it would change countless others. Years later, Malik stood at a podium, dedicating a new community center in Evelyn's name. He told the crowd about the day they met, about how a single choice could ripple outward. She taught me to see people, he said, his voice steady. Not their clothes or their circumstances, but who they are. And when you do that, you can change the world. The crowd applauded, but Malik's eyes were on the kids in the back, the ones who reminded him of himself. He knew Evelyn was watching, somehow, and he hoped she was proud.